4. 22 days pass. Khalti Nasreen has gone back to her husband with the promise to return in a few days. Ammo Yahya came to the door to collect her. He didn't step inside, awkwardly apologizing to Baba. Ziyad and Amjad stop by in the evening when Baba is home, carrying Pyrex dishes full of mahshi and kufta their wives have prepared. A few of the Arabiyat around the neighborhood also drop by to comfort Mama, bringing a thermos of sanka as though she's incapable of even brewing coffee. From a wire basket at the sink, they pull mugs that Afaf washes when she comes home from school, and between sips, the women shake their heads and suck their teeth. May Allah return her safely to you, Mjid. Afaf's friend Samira visits with her mother and they play outside while Samira's mother washes bowls and glasses, and Mama sits at the kitchen table, sobbing. Where could she have gone? Samira asks Afaf. Her friend's dark hair is cut in a short, straight bob. Last summer, she crashed her bike into a rusty fence and a broken chain link sliced off the tip of her pinky. Afaf never tires of studying it, begging her friend to let her touch the smooth scar tissue. It looks like someone bit it off. Ever since, Samira is no longer allowed to ride a bike. Afaf had overheard Samira's mother telling Mama about it. Shaifa, see what happens when you give a girl too much freedom in this country? She loses a finger. Luckily, it hasn't changed Mama's mind about Afaf riding her bike. Afaf turns the knobs on her friend's Magna Doodle pad and shrugs her shoulders. I don't know where she went. They take turns drawing on a sketch pad, black grains assembling like ants beneath the screen. Afaf pulls the lever and Samira's fat rainbow and flowers disappear. She sketches a kitten with long whiskers. Afaf still desperately wishes for a pet, but Mama refuses to have any four-legged creature in their home. They have a fish tank, but the novelty has quickly worn off. Afaf wants an animal to hold and cuddle. Feeding indifferent fish is like any other chore she's expected to do around the apartment. I guess the police would have found her if she was hiding. Samira speculates, laying her chin on Afaf's shoulder as she draws. Why would she be hiding, dummy? Afaf doesn't intend to be cruel, but she wants to escape any talk of Nada, at least for a little while. She turns a knob on the pad, trying to join two arcs to form a heart, but it ends up looking like an uneven, inverted triangle. A young detective working the case buzzes the apartment one evening. Baba offers the detective a chair in the kitchen and Afaf and Majid watch from the doorframe of their parents' bedroom. He is very young, ruddy cheeks and blue eyes. His thick blonde hair parted on the side gives him the appearance of a schoolboy, not a homicide investigator. Detective Harold Jones. He shows her father his badge and tucks it back into the pocket of his corduroy jacket. Someone phoned about a suspicious man near the Old Union stockyard. His eyes dart between her parents. We investigated, and he turns toward Afaf and Majid. Lulad, Baba says softly. Go watch TV. They bolt to the front room and sit on the sofa bed. Afaf listens hard, catching parts of the detective's sentences. We investigated, and a body, these photographs. Can you identify if it's your... A chair pushes back Mama's low moaning. Are you sure it's not her, Mr. Rahman? Have any distinguishing marks? The moaning grows louder, then shuffling slippers. The bathroom door slams shut. Mama's vomiting becomes the only sound in the apartment. Afaf runs to the kitchen. The detective stands, gathering his photographs. Before he closes his folder, Afaf catches the image of an arm, badly bruised and fingernails caked with dirt. I'm sorry about all this, he tells Baba. You should take comfort in the fact that she's still out there. We'll do our best to find her. The dead girl in the pictures turns out to be Bianca Lopez, 16 years old, gone missing a day before Nada. Afaf knows that it is almost worse for her parents, it not being Nada's body, battered and broken, because it means more waiting, more not knowing. Halloween is cold and rainy. Khalti Nasreen agrees to take them trick-or-treating for 1 hour. She wraps herself in a white, shiny trench coat, holding her collar closed with one hand, the other clutching an umbrella. She waits on the sidewalk each time Afaf and Majid run up to a house and ring the doorbell. They comb a 3-block radius of bungalows, their plastic sacks bulging with bottle caps candy, homemade popcorn balls, and bazooka gum. Afaf is happy to move about the neighborhood in disguise. Her Wonder Woman mask shields her from questions about Nada. In the last month, she can't ride her bike without being stopped. No leads from the police? Any word on your sister? How are your folks doing? Poor things. She's become the sister of the girl who disappeared. She hates the pitiable head-shaking stares from the neighbors. Sometimes they stop her and Majid on their bikes, waving them down with a rake on their front lawns. Samira doesn't come over as much anymore, as though Nada's disappearance is contagious to the other Arab children in the neighborhood. Afaf blames her parents and Mama blames Baba. You let her go out with these Americans doing God knows what. Afaf imagines Samira's mother whispering with the other Arabi mothers, Shaifa, Shaifa, see what happens when you give your daughter too much freedom? This country will snatch her up. The white girls have grown fascinated with Afaf. Before, they used to ignore her or poke fun at her. Now they huddle around her at recess and beg her to tell them about Nada. It's the only time she doesn't mind talking about her sister, to get close to Julie McNulty and Amber Reeves. She exaggerates the details each time she reconstructs the story and ends with a poof. She's gone. In every version, Nada is still alive, only not anywhere the rest of them can see her. Do you miss her? Julie McNulty asks her. Amber Reeves listens for Afaf's answer, her classmate's lower lip perpetually trembling. Afaf does miss her sister, but not in the way her classmates expect her to. Nada's absence is like an earthquake rattling their house. Nothing appears damaged, though every object seems slightly moved from its original place. Mama and Baba bicker even more, a noise as familiar as the chirping of birds on the telephone line outside the apartment window, but the silences in between are tomb-like. Sudden tears fall down Baba's unshaven cheeks when he hugs Afaf and Majid goodnight. After school, she finds Mama standing at the kitchen table, water running over a dish she's been holding for a long time. On the sidewalk, they walk past a pair of children both dressed as Bambi and a tall boy from the Planet of Apes. Their fathers are in raincoats, smoking cigarettes and nodding hello at Khalti Nasreen. One mother drives slowly alongside her children, her windshield wipers squeaking back and forth. At Mr. Cliverson's house, Afaf halts. Majid is Bigfoot, the hem of his plastic costume pants dragging on the cement sidewalk. He runs ahead. Wait, Madge, Afaf calls out. He turns around and scampers back to her. What's wrong? His voice is muffled behind his mask. Afaf pokes the edge of the damn lawn with the tip of her sneaker. Let's skip this house. Mr. Cliverson is a mean old man. He sits on his porch in the summertime, scowling at the neighborhood kids who ride past his house. He calls them little brats whose parents don't give a goddamn. He stoops to pick up littered soda cans and candy wrappers off his lawn. Before they can turn and head to the next house, Mr. Cliverson opens his door and steps outside, a bowl of candy in the crook of his arm. Yalla, Lulad, Khalti Nasreen says. Don't keep him waiting, Miskeen. Last summer, Mr. Cliverson sprayed Afaf with the hose when she passed his house. It wasn't meant in fun. When she glanced over her shoulder, he was waving his middle finger at her, a gesture that nearly threw her from her bike, one the older boys in the neighborhood sometimes flourished at them when she and Majid rode past on their bikes. It was hard to imagine a grown-up behaving in such a way. Ever since, she's avoided passing his house. Majid looks at Afaf. The slits in his mask don't properly line up with his eyes and nostrils. Come on, she finally says. Todd, today she is Wonder Woman. Nothing can scare her. Still, she hopes the old man won't recognize them. Well, well, don't you look like trouble, Mr. Cliverson says. He's wearing a pair of plaid flannels and a long-sleeved thermal shirt. Afaf has never been this close to him, and he seems much smaller, his shoulders stooped, the skin of his neck hanging like a turkey's wattle. She looks past the foyer and into the living room behind him. An old woman sits in a wheelchair. Her head dips to one side, her mouth is slightly agape. Her fingers twitch on the armrests. Though Afaf harbors a fascination with the homes of white people, there's something unsettling about this one. She doesn't want any candy. She clenches her sack shut. She wants to get away from his house as quickly as possible. Mr. Cliverson nods at Khalti Nasreen. That's not your mother, he points out. He does recognize them after all. My mother's sick, Afaf says, a bit too hastily. I bet she is. He scoops a handful of cellophane-wrapped butterscotch candies and drops them into Majid's sack. How about you, Missy? His eyes are milky with cataracts. Reluctantly, Afaf opens her sack and watches candy trickle down. Thank you. He cradles the bowl in front of him. Any word on your sister? Afaf shakes her head, her stomach sinking. It's not the same tone the other adults use when they ask about Nada, the kind that sounds like they really care. The old woman coughs and Mr. Cliverson glances over his shoulder before stealing his eyes on her again. I doubt she'll be back. That girl is gone. Before Afaf can reply, Mr. Cliverson shuts the door and they're back on the sidewalk, trailing behind Khalti Nasreen. Afaf's breath is hot beneath her mask. She no longer feels the cold whipping against the back of her neck. She fights back the tears, but they roll down her cheeks and drip onto her plastic costume, disguised by the drizzle of rain. When they get home, she goes straight to her room, defying their tradition of pouring all their loot into the kitchen table. She rips off her mask and tosses it aside. Majid faithfully follows her. You wanna count it in here? She shrugs her shoulders, avoids looking at Nada's empty bed. Her brother turns his sack upside down and she watches his candy cascade onto the carpet. She turns on the record player, slides on the ABBA, and listens to So Long, Nada's favorite. Majid sorts the chocolate and nougat treats from the hard candy and bubble gum. In the kitchen, Khalti Nasreen prepares a pot of tea, and Mama emerges from her bedroom. Afaf dreads the day Khalti Nasreen leaves them for good, returning to her own life. Do you want to trade? Majid asks her. Afaf shrugs her shoulders. She doesn't care if her brother takes all of it. Her favorite holiday has been ruined. Is this what it will be like from now on? Nada's absence casting a shadow over everything Afaf enjoys, days she looks forward to. She lies down on the carpet and props her legs on the mattress. She taps her fingers to the tune of I've been waiting for you. Majid gnaws on a Tootsie Roll. Is Nada really gone? Like Mr. Cliverson said? Still on her back, she reaches for a bazooka gum from the pile and unwraps its joke. How much dirt is in a hole 6 feet by 6 feet? I don't know. No dirt, stupid. I said it was a hole. Is Nada gone? Majid asks Afaf again. Yes, she tells him, balling up the wrapper and throwing it at the ceiling. She's gone.